Welcome back to the Drunk on Writing Show, brought to you in part through the patronage of Ariya Norinth. I missed that last time, so I'm making up for it this time. Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed the first episode. I think we enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed doing it. I like the output that we had, even though it was very much a pilot. What are you doing back here? Our third guest tonight is our dog, Dixie. She's filling a spot on the couch. She's going in. What are you getting under the couch back there? Stop. Relax. Oh boy. Today we have a whole bevy of topics for you. First and foremost, Amazon. Good or bad? We're going to talk about flash fiction versus novels versus epics. We're going to talk about our video club entry of the month, Free State of Jones. There was no "the" at the beginning of that, right? It's just Free State of Jones.
Right.
And then we're going to play a little game. Kim is going to rescind the favor of last episode and treat me to a round of, I want to say, I keep thinking it's Never Have I Ever, but it's
Would You Rather.
Would You Rather. Thank you. So, going to be a fun show. That last part is Patreon exclusive, so be sure to head on over to drunkonwriting.com and sign up to check that out, because it's, I don't know what the Would You Rather will be, but I assume that they will be humorous. I hope. I'm looking forward to that. We'll see where the night ends up. So, Kim, just how we always start off. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. You know, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesdays I kind of always hate. Tuesdays for some reason I always want to have a beer, because it's like, it's that day in between where like the Monday fever pitch of going back to work has gone, and it's just the stress now of the week.
Yeah.
But it's not close enough to the weekend yet. So like Tuesdays are always a hard spot for me.
Tuesday's not a Monday though.
Huh?
Tuesday's not a Monday though.
Well, I'm saying Monday is gone. We're left with Tuesday.
I know.
Is today not Tuesday?
Positive. No, today's positive. No, today is Tuesday. But
you're screwing me up.
But I'm saying Tuesday's a positive day because it's not.
I like Mondays more. Mondays are definitely higher in my ranking of the days of the week than Tuesday. I think Tuesday is probably at the bottom of the rung. Of all the days of the week, nothing happens on Tuesday, which is why I release the new episodes of any Drunk on Writing show. I think they're pretty much always come out on a Tuesday, because I want to make Tuesdays better. Because I think Tuesdays kind of suck, and I try to instill a little bit of joy into them.
Don't be a hater.
What have you what you been watching, listening to,
oh my gosh.
Reading?
What have I been watching? Well, still with the Great British Bake Off. It's still going on. We've been watching some New Girl. I feel like I've been watching a lot of kids' TV shows. I've now watched, oh goodness.
So I resubscribed to Disney Plus the other day.
Yeah.
And since then,
we've watched Home Alone 2, Frozen 2.
Toy Story 4.
I did not watch those.
So Matthew and I watched Toy Story, and then he just watched Toy Story 4. My God, Toy Story 4 is gorgeous. Have you seen this movie?
I don't know.
See, I haven't seen Toy Story 3 or 4. I've only seen Toy Stories 1 and 2. So I went from just watching Toy Story 1 the other day, which was a 90s movie, to watching Toy Story 4, which just came out last year. My God, it looks like real life. It is insane what they've done, what they've managed to get to over the years. Like, I really want to sit down and actually watch the movies.
Yeah.
But you know, Matthew was like, "I want to watch this one." I'm like, "Okay." And then I went to go watch the second one earlier, and he goes, "I just want to turn the TV off now." I'm like, I just sat down. let me watch some TV. And he goes, "No."
And what else have I been watching? I think that's it. Oh. I can't think of any.
Well, I've been watching. I watched a couple episodes of The Office. Mm-hmm. I've been playing. I have under here Valhalla.
Yeah, you have.
Valhalla, the bar drinking game.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Assassin's Creed.
No.
But no. I've been playing Valhalla, which is like a bar management kind of game where it's very story driven, text heavy. You mix people's drinks. Pretty fun. It's just started The Witcher 2 kind of accidentally where we were down here a lot, and my Xbox is the only thing down here besides my PS3, and I was like, I'm going to play some Witcher 2 until... I really was trying to hold off on those kind of games until Cyberpunk came out, but I just got a notification that Cyberpunk, my shipment, will be delayed until the end of December, so I don't know when that's actually going to come. I think it's December 23rd now, so I don't have a high hope, so I just started that. I've been reading Pet Sematary, which I am loving, especially compared to Christine, which I did not enjoy. But Stephen King's Pet Sematary, my God, it is good. I'm only halfway through it, and everything that I expected to happen has happened. So I don't know what's going to happen on the other half of the book, which is kind of nuts. Right? Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And I've also been listening to. I added that to
listening.
Yeah, listening to. I added that to the question for this month because I got the new Marilyn Manson album. I got the new The Weeknd album. I got the new Gorillaz album, and I got the new album from my friend Ryan, whose band is called The Jet Setting. Their brand new debut release is The Spaceman. I've been listening to it nonstop. So much so that you told me I got to listen to something else.
I've heard a lot of.
I really like the album. Yeah. It's a really good album. It's a solid. It's only 7 songs. It's a very solid EP, and I'm just kind of tease the next video. I'm sitting down with them on Friday to interview them and talk about the album, and that will be the next dissection that will end up going up because I just like it that much, and I want to learn more about it. And I know it's been something that they've been working on for years, so I'm kind of excited about that. I think you should go check it out. I think you're gonna like it. It's very good. It's very Gorillaz like. It's like so much other stuff out there, but it's very much its own thing, and it's just great. It's just a very solid experience from beginning to end, and highly recommend it. More on that to come. So I think that's pretty much the gist of our little intro. So let's just jump right into our first topic: Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Good or bad? I wanted to bring this up because I've been covering Amazon now for years professionally. I wrote about Amazon back when Amazon still had yet to turn a profit. Yeah, that wasn't that long ago when I first started covering them, maybe back in about 2008, 2009. They hadn't yet turned a profit, and it became a big deal the first quarter that they did. They still hadn't made money annually, but they suddenly turned a profit for this first quarter, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's huge. And today, Jeff Bezos is now worth around $200 billion. The most wealthiest man in the world, wealthiest person in the world, for that matter. He just bought the Warner estate valued at $165 million, plus an additional $10 million house he added onto it. But the average salaries at Amazon range from about $24,000 for an inventory specialist to $150,000 for firmware engineers. And most of Jeff Bezos' worth, I mean, he only gets a salary of about $80,000 a year. His worth comes from the stock. He has a lot of stock, and I'm fairly certain he gets more stock. But in a lot of ways, Amazon is good, and especially this year with the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Amazon, if we didn't have Amazon, I feel like, I don't know what would happen. I mean, a lot of people depended on those deliveries this year because other businesses weren't set up for it yet. But I think when you look at it over the years, I think it's an interesting topic on whether Amazon has been good or bad in general, whether on society, whether for business, whether for people, whether for states, companies, cities, the country, even. Kim, I wanted to kind of pitch this over to you. What are your thoughts on this topic? Because I toss this to you, and I'm very torn on it. I assume you are a bit as well. So, what are your feelings on Amazon?
Well, I think that, like you said, with this year, it's excellent, right? Because there's things that, especially if you have Prime, you order and it gets there almost overnight in some instances. Even some instances where you don't have Prime, like I've ordered stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, I ordered that yesterday. So I think it's great in that aspect. I think it has shifted retail, like what we know retail to be, where they just don't feel the need to carry certain items in the stores.
I've been to so many stores recently that just have blank shelves, or they'll say, you have to buy that online now. Whereas I think before Amazon made what is the digital ecosystem what it is today, where you can find pretty much anything online. In stores, that used to be the case. I remember.
I don't know about that.
I mean, you used to be able to go to Radio Shack and you would be able to find this obscure electrical part. You can't get that anymore because the Radio Shack is now out of business. You used to be able to go to
I don't think Radio
Barnes
Shack,
and Noble
though,
and find a book that you couldn't find anywhere, but you can't do that because Amazon has made it so you just buy them online. It's consolidated. What it's done over the years is consolidate everything. So Barnes and Noble only has the things that are guaranteed to sell. It doesn't have that excess stockpile. So you don't expect a physical store to have everything anymore.
I don't know that you can blame that all on Amazon, though.
I think Amazon kind of started it.
Maybe, but if not Amazon, then somebody else, then
Maybe.
Walmart, then somebody else out there.
See, people say that, but then Walmart is still trying to catch up to Amazon at this point.
Sure, because Amazon has put the technology, has put the money into the development of the website of its company. Walmart has a store face, so they haven't spent as much on that type of stuff. Amazon did. Amazon from the get-go said, here's something where we can really make a huge profit. Let's put all of our resources into this. I think it was only a matter of time somebody went virtual like that, went online. It's the internet. From the time, you can argue that the internet is the cause of this, not Amazon, right? Because once everything went on the internet, what happened? You no longer use encyclopedias, right? Everything was online.
Remember Encarta?
Everything was online.
I got sold my first computer on Encarta.
When I was a kid, right, before the internet was what it is, I went to the encyclopedias on my parents' shelf. And so I think you can there's an argument to be made for the internet did that, right? And Amazon just saw that as the opportunity for what it is. I do think it has shifted retail, and I think you can also argue that it's good in a lot of ways because small businesses are now getting more of a look at rather than the big box stores. You're seeing more of these pop-up small businesses than ever before.
It is interesting because Amazon pretty much took the idea of the big box store and expanded on it, right? They put it online. Yeah. They said, this is now our warehouse. Yeah. Everything is available. Whereas, Walmart or Target or even Bradley's, like going back, or Cowdoors, right? They were supposed to be these stores that had everything, that they rolled all the mom and pop shops into one. Even you look at something like Home Depot, where it took all the little tiny hardware stores. Like you would go to the store that had the plumbing, or you'd go to the store that had the wood, and you'd have to make multiple trips. Now it's all in one. Amazon took that and doubled down on it and said, well, now it's on the internet.
So I don't think it's Amazon's fault, but I think of things like I went to a store. I won't name the store because I don't want to trash a store. It's a decent store. But I went to a store looking for a piece of clothing for Easter. I needed just a shirt. A simple shirt. A nice dress.
This was a Matthew shirt.
It was Matthew, yeah.
Okay.
And I just wanted a nice dress shirt. So I went to a store specifically for kids. And I was told, no, we have some polos. And I'm like, I don't want polo, right? It's Easter in Connecticut.
It's Easter everywhere. Spoiler.
Yeah, but Easter in Connecticut's cold. It's still cold in April. So I needed long sleeve. And the response I got was go online. And I don't want to go online. Not for everything. So needless to say, I went to the other store that sold that type of items. And
I think
got it. But go online. Go online. So
Well, I think because the issue there is so many stores have developed a seasonal mentality where, you know,
No.
Christmas is still a month away, right? But they've had Christmas stuff out for a month already, or it's now the fall.
Mhm.
They've had winter things out for 2 months. You know, spring will be
No,
out
I get
in
it.
January. So it's like the thing that you need right now, you can't get anymore. You should have already bought that.
I get it, but this particular store had so much girl stuff, so much girl Easter outfits. But they were boy haters, so
So Amazon, the other thing about Amazon, they don't pay taxes. Amazon pays nothing in taxes. Jeff Bezos pays nothing in taxes. I'm being hyperbolic there, of course. Although I think they pay pretty much nothing in taxes. They hire a lot of people,
okay.
so that is a plus.
Mm-hmm.
They also advance technology to the point where they don't have to hire as many people as they would have.
Mm-hmm.
They are opening stores where there are no people except
Mhm.
stalkers,
Mm-hmm.
minimum wage stalkers in the back. You don't have to check out. There's nothing. There's just cameras watching you at all times. They have these things in the homes, the Alexa listening to you, allowing you to do all the things that the home speakers do. It's getting very big brothery, and I don't want to be tossing conspiracy theories, and I'm not going to. But I don't like it. I'm personally not comfortable with it. I don't want an Alexa in here. I know that the phones listen to you to a point, but I don't have Siri on my phone turned on. I know that they do the passive listening, or supposedly. They don't. I mean, they totally do, because I get ads served on me based on what I said all the time. It's terrifying. But in general, whether answering the original question as I really served it was, is Amazon good or bad in a general sense? I don't know. I think it's a gray area. I think they're good and bad in a lot of ways. I think they've brought a lot of good. I think they're probably the reason we still have a United States Postal Service at this point, even though they're trying to get away from that, even cut their costs, which I don't blame them. They are a company, but I don't know. I think they've gotten too big at this point, and I think we need more competition. And I don't think anybody's anywhere close to being a actual competitor to Amazon, other than perhaps Walmart or Target, and they're lagging.
They are, and I would agree. You have the good and the bad with any company, right? But if somebody wants to step up and be a competitor, let's do it. Let's see it. I mean, I recently, Christmas shopping, I did not order everything from Amazon. Most of the items I got were from Target. But what happened?
What happened?
Target didn't have something in stock, so I went to Amazon. There you go. They had it. So it's that type of, you gotta.
I mean, I gotta say, for this year in particular, I gotta give Amazon the good, because, again, I feel like so many people would have been screwed because there are so many people who are isolated, and they can only count on people on a company that could serve them. And at the beginning of this pandemic, most companies were just not set up for it, and Amazon was. And so I gotta give them the good. I gotta give them the good for this year, at the very least. Probably previous years, I would have been like, they're straight bad. I think they're evil corporation. I think Jeff Bezos looks like Lex Luthor.
Okay,
like he should play.
Don't be a hater.
He should play Lex Luthor in a movie,
good
and he'd
for
be
him.
great.
Let's see him on the screen.
I agree. Should we move on to the next topic? Yeah, let's go on to the next topic. Flash fiction versus novels versus epics. This was something that came from us, from our lovely patron, TheCinephiliac, who says, it could be fun to compare short story / flash fiction to novels. And I threw in the epics just so you are aware. What each medium can do better than the other, what weakness each one has, etc. This is TheCinephiliac talking. I lean slightly to the side of short / flash fiction if they are written well. In particular, Edgar Carrot, who I've never read, I assume if we had Michael here, Michael is Kim's cousin, who's an English professor who loves short stories.
Sure, yeah.
And I really should have picked his brain for this. I didn't even think of it.
Yeah, you should have.
Oh well. He would have been all about this. He probably knows this person and like, oh my god. Has some of the best stories I've ever read. He does more with a few pages than some authors do with a few hundred. Now, before we really dive into this, I thought it would be important that I actually define what flash fiction is.
Yeah.
Flash fiction is a fictional work of extreme brevity that still offers character and plot development. Identified varieties, many of them defined by word count, include the 6-word story, the 280 character story, the dribble, the drabble, sudden fiction, flash fiction, and micro story. And when I was considering this topic, I realized that I hate flash fiction. I do not like flash fiction in the least. In fact, I like the exact opposite, which is why I threw it in here. I like epics, and it didn't dawn on me that that was the case until this topic, because some of my favorite pieces of fiction ever are some of the longest that I've spent time with. And I think it's just that I spend so much time with them that they make some sort of imprint upon me. Whereas a flash fiction is like a magazine article. I read it and it's gone. It may have an effect on me.
Yeah.
But it's not a long-lasting one. Like, I think of recently, not that I've read an epic, but The Witcher 3. I spent 200 hours playing The Witcher. I'm going to be thinking about The Witcher 3 for a while. Everything about that story was fantastic. And it's all about character development, story development, slow, churning, realistic development that you get thrown into the muck with, and you just live in it. And I love it. I live for that. I think of something like the Dune series, or the Wheel of Time, or even to a lesser extent for me, the Lord of the Rings. Things like that. The Brothers Karamazov, which is, over 1,000 pages. The Stand. I love these books and these stories, and they're all so long. I mean, they're terribly long, and to most people would be like, eh. But you have a thought. What is your thought?
Don't you think? No, I have not. I will self-admit that I haven't read a lot of flash fiction by the definition that you just read. I have read a good amount of short stories. Don't you think that in some flash fiction and in some short stories, I mean, the art of it really is to make an imprint, just as an epic would.
It is. And maybe I just haven't read the right ones. I mean, that could very well be it. Again, I haven't read this person, Edgar Carrot. And maybe if I assume that's a he. Maybe if I read his work, that I would think differently. But flash fiction. I had a long discussion with number one patron out there, Ariya Norinth, over the weekend about this topic, because he wrote a whole book of flash fiction. He followed those flash fiction prompts and wrote those for about a year. And so I was picking his brain on it, and he finds flash fiction easier to write. And maybe this is why I'm biased, because I find it extremely hard to write flash fiction. I tend to write more toward the novel, toward longer character development, longer storylines. And that's just what I gravitate towards. So maybe, I think there is a place for flash fiction, and I can understand the appeal of it. I think it can be very cool. I've read some really cool pieces where it's not like it's flash fiction. It's super quick. It's this super flash in the pan of character development, or an event that takes place, or like some sudden shift. And that's what it is by design. But I would rather personally have that be part of a novel where I know what came before and what comes after.
See, and I don't necessarily need that. I think if written correctly, I don't need all of that, because through the writing, I can tell like who this character is and what they're about, and kind of what they would do or previously do. I think probably some of the shorter things I've read, I remember more. I took away more than some of these long books that I've had to read.
Really?
Absolutely. I think about things that I read, and again, I have not read a lot of flash fiction. I've read more short stories, but The Most Dangerous Game, I believe, is the name of the short story that I read. I mean, I read that back in high school, and I still remember that book like to a T. So that stuck with me, that book. I'm not sure if this is a short story or not, but The Body.
Novella.
Okay.
Yeah, so somewhere between.
Somewhere between, but look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how famous that became. So sometimes the shorter stuff does stay with you. You can get so much through a short piece that you don't need all this extra detail that sometimes it's just unnecessary.
Yeah, and I think there are places for all of these pieces of fiction, whether flash fiction, short story, novella, novel, epic. I think each one serves its purpose. I don't think that one story can be told in all shapes and sizes. I think each one caters to its own storyline. And I think flash fiction in particular probably you've read a lot of short stories. You just said, what in terms of short stories, what would you say would be something that really, how would you characterize them? Like, what are they talking about generally in a short story? I mean, it can be anything, right? There's no one size fits all.
It's a hard question to answer because I've read numerous stories about a variety of different things.
So I think the same is for flash fiction, right? So like it can cover pretty much anything, and I think that there are pluses and minuses to it all. But I think in terms of whether you like it or not, probably depends on you as a person. I'm having a hard time with this one just because I think that they're so varied, and there's no one definition of what a story can be. Obviously, that I've been playing a lot more video games of late, and I look at something like the video game Inside, which was a 4 to 6 hour game with no overt storyline, no real dialogue. It was a puzzle game, a puzzle platformer. But I took away so much from that game, and I want to do a video on that eventually, because there's so much environmental storytelling. There's just so much there. And maybe that is very much what people can get out of a flash fiction. Mm-hmm. Not me. I'm just not there with a flash fiction, and I think TheCinephiliac that I should just dive in and read some of Edgar Carrett's work and really give flash fiction a chance, because I read what Ariya wrote, all the flash fiction that he wrote, and I did enjoy it. It's just generally like I would much rather have said, "Hey, let me read a 100-page novel."
Yeah, see, I'm not there with you. I would rather read the short stories. Like I say, I a lot of times I remember so much more, and I take so much more out of it. Like, look at Poe, right? Like I've read a lot of him, and those stories have stuck with me.
Yeah, I guess those wouldn't classify as flash fiction. Those would be like short stories, right?
Yeah. And, like I said, I have read
yes. Yeah, that's a really good example, because Poe, he packs a lot into his short stories, and you don't really need more than that.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
He says it all right there. I mean, like this Edgar Carrett I've not read, but like somebody like Poe, if it's done well, if it's done right, you don't need all the rest.
Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to log on to the Acorn app for my local library, and I'm going to get a book from Edgar Cayce. I'm going to add it to my
Yeah.
little library cart, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to report back on it
Sounds
for our next episode.
Maybe your mind will be changed.
Maybe my mind will be changed. Stick around for part 2 of this discussion, because I feel like it might be needed. I don't think my mind will be changed. I really want to sit down and I want to read the Witcher books. I want to just dive into that world and just let it like cover me in like a warm blanket.
No, I think there's something to be said for long stories and yeah, you do tend to get engrossed in it and wrapped in it, but you can do that as well with short and flash fiction.
All right, we're gonna table this discussion and we're gonna continue it.
Sounds good.
At least briefly next episode. Okay, so let's move on to our video club pick of the month.
Yep.
Free State of Jones, which Kim was your pick for this month. So tell us, why did you pick this movie?
It came as a recommendation to me.
It was recommended to you.
It was recommended to me.
Oh, through the Netflix algorithm?
No, through a person.
Through a person?
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Who?
Amanda
happened to supply a comment when I solicited comments on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do at Drunk on Writing, just Drunk on Writing, no G. I wasn't able to secure the G. If you know Drunk on Writing, let me know. I would rather love that account. But anyways, Amanda says, such a good movie and such an unknown fact of Southerners that didn't support the Confederate cause. Matthew did a wonderful job in this role. I love that she calls him Matthew. He is my favorite actor for his ability to really play a role. And I agree with her here.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey is a fantastic actor. I don't think anybody can dispute that. He brings a gravitas to every role that I've ever seen him in, whether it's a stoner, back in probably his most prolific role, right, or something like this, or even in a Christopher Nolan movie. What was that one where the world's ending and he goes through a black hole? Don't remember. Spoilers. But yeah, so that you were recommending this movie, and that's basically that was it. Yeah. That was nice and easy.
Yeah.
Before we really get into this,
because I also like historical.
You do like historical.
I love a good historical movie. I love. Yeah. So,
I'm gonna give a joke on this, like I always do.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. So
This can.
Oh, I looked up jokes. I looked up jokes for this movie. I looked up jokes for this movie, and there were some really questionables.
Yeah.
So I went very safe.
Okay.
And here's our dad joke, our Warren joke of the month for Free State of Jones. I looked for a good joke, but they were generally pretty bad. Just like this movie. I did not like this movie. I really did not like this movie. And it might be because it was super depressing. And this is just not a year I feel like watching a really depressing movie. Yes, it's about the Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was just so depressing. But also so confusing. Like, I did not know who anyone was. And they would name drop this person. They're like, oh, hey, Bill. Or hey, Ted. Or hey, Joe. Or hey, son. And I was like, is that his son? Is that his son? Is that his wife? Is that his wife? I didn't know who anybody was married to, who anybody was having children with. And then there was the whole idea of this being the current time period as well, and tying back into what was going on there. It was all very oddly structured. I did.
So I will agree there were parts I was confused. There were. But there were also parts of other movies we've watched during this show that I was way more confused.
I would agree with that.
So in terms of this movie, I knew what was going on, right? I did know characters.
Did I miss something? Because like the first 20 minutes of it seemed like small vignettes. I mean, talking about flash fiction, this seemed like Civil War flash fiction, where we go, let's deal with this character and this event. Like, he goes to this one woman's house, and teaches her how. He says, "Oh, what happened here? Here, I'll give you a gun." And then he goes away and he goes to another person's house and he gives them a gun and he like stands up to this one person who seems to be the only Civil War bad guy around because he's right there from the beginning to the end. Nobody shoots him. Why wouldn't you shoot this guy? This lieutenant guy? Oh my god!
So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that because originally I was like, why the hell does this guy care, right? And after we finished it, I really started thinking about the movie, and I think I really liked the movie in the long run because him going to all these people's houses, and maybe the structure of the movie could have been changed a little bit, but he was setting himself up as the leader. That's what he was doing.
But I think he was already a leader. See, I feel like this movie was a disservice to the character here, this person, because I don't feel like it really properly set him up beyond being just the white savior. Like I feel like they took what he was. I mean, I know this was based on true events, so this was a real person, and I think they just took him and they said, you're going to be this godlike creature because he seems infallible almost in this movie, where he seems like he's never wrong. He's always looking out for everybody. He's as good as he can possibly be, and sure, there are people like that, but I don't know.
Well, not all the time. I think they had to go back into the woods there. So not everything was done right. And people left. Right? They're like, this is no longer my fight. This is not my fight. And he was like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Go. So,
but he also didn't give him any trouble. He didn't like.
Why
like,
would he?
I'm just saying, like, he was just like, all right, fine.
Yeah, and I think.
I mean, I seem to be
a respectable character.
I seem to be in the minority with my opinion because, again, Amanda recommended to you. The Cinephiliac I want to put in here. I wanted to make a joke about the film not being just all right. However, the film was pretty good. It managed to be fairly accurate despite the fact that the history was little to work with when it comes to filling out a film's runtime. I like that it didn't pull any punches when it came to the more graphic subject matter. It did seem to break the show don't tell rule a few times with text explaining the world, which, that was weird how the text would pop up every now and again, almost documentary style, as the Cinephiliac says, and with shots of characters walking for too long. It's a solid historical telling, but could use an edit to become a great film. See, I think it was almost too edited, where there was no cohesion, I felt, between scenes. And I don't know how much time was elapsing. I couldn't tell if it, like, the first 8 scenes or so, was that all the same day? Was that like 2 weeks
the film,
running? Was it months running? I don't even know.
The film definitely wasn't perfect, but I think Amanda brought up a really good point. And I have not talked to her about this movie.
Sure.
So, other than her recommending it.
Right.
But she is right in the terms of it brings to light that there were groups out there down in the South that didn't agree with what the Confederates were doing. And I don't think that when you're in school and learning about the North versus the South, that's highlighted. It's just not.
That's true.
And this movie, you can make some parallels to what's going on in current state with the Black Lives Matter movement, and there are these states that don't agree with it, and that's just not true of everybody in the state. Like, he created his own state. Yeah. That's exactly what he did. He created his own state because he didn't agree with what was going on. And I think it was really refreshing to see a movie like this.
See, I will agree with you on that. I think that was a really cool and really refreshing way to kind of put it, where Matthew McConaughey, he was a Confederate. I don't know if he was a soldier at the beginning. I think he was a soldier, and he
fought for the Confederates.
and he ran away.
Yeah.
And basically at one point he's there with the runaway slaves, and he says, no man should own another man because we are all children of God. Mm-hmm. And I think Mahershala Ali actually delivers that line. Matthew McConaughey prompts him and he says, we are all children of God. And I thought that was a great scene. I just don't think that any of the characterization supported it. I think everybody was just... They were non-characters. They were just there to fill a spot. And I think
I don't know about
except
that.
for Mahershala Ali, I think Mahershala Ali did a very good job. I think he was the most rounded character in this entire movie, and he had like 3 lines.
Okay, but I think everybody had a reason for being there. Like Kerry Russell's character. I can't remember her name. But
Did she have a name?
Yes, she did.
She did?
Yeah. Do you want me to look it up?
Nope.
Okay.
I was making a point about the movie because I don't remember her name. I don't remember if she actually.
Well, but okay. Even the fact that I can't remember her name,
Yeah.
I only really remember her because she was Kerry Russell. But that character was there to kind of show like he felt so strongly about what was going on that he left them to go help everybody else.
Well, didn't he leave them because they were going to hunt him down because of what he had already done, so he wanted to kind of save them. And then she was basically like, I'm done with this. And was that her way of like divorcing him? Is that where they're just like, we're done, we're separated now?
Yeah,
then
I think that was like a breakup.
And he went with the house slave whose name was, what was her name? I forget her name.
I want to say Rebecca, but I feel like that's
Alicia?
wrong. No.
Something like that. He ended up with her, I believe. I wouldn't have necessarily 100% understood that if not for the future tenses, the future scenes, at least immediately, because it seemed like, oh, he could.
Rachel.
Are they? Rachel. There we go. Are they together?
And Kerry
Will they? Won't
Russell.
they?
Kerry Russell was Serena.
Serena.
Yeah. Yes, Serena.
Yeah, I don't believe that was said in the movie. I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it
was. I do not remember a Serena.
But you also mentioned the flash forward scenes. I thought that was really interesting because
I think it was really screwed up.
The whole movie was screwed up.
Yeah.
Everything that happened.
Yeah.
But it shows to light that even though they fought so hard for this cause, it's still an issue. It was still an issue.
Still an issue
in
today.
the 60s. I think is when the flash forward.
Yeah, it seemed around that period. Yeah.
I assume it was the 60s.
There was probably a title card at one point that said it.
And it's still today. So I think it shows a good time lapse of what's really happened since the Civil War.
Which is
like no film I've ever seen.
Which is basically the Civil War became a Cold War in essence, where the certain aspects, certain people within the South are still very much like, well, the Civil War, we should have won it. And, I mean, you see people still flying Confederate flags today. Like, they believe in what the Confederacy stood for, which, when you really boil it down to, is that they wanted to own people and have slaves to make money. I think it was really came down to money, which is continues to be an issue today, right?
You know, I would love to. I don't know anybody who flies a Confederate flag or anything like that. That's just not a thing you see up here where we live. But I think it would be interesting to talk to one of those people. Is that why they fly the Confederate flag? Because they want to own somebody? I sort of don't think so.
I'm sure it's some sort of Southern pride thing. But why would you be prideful in supporting traitors? Because that's what the Confederates were.
I can't answer any of those questions.
I guess you could, yeah. And frankly, I'm not interested in necessarily having that conversation.
I don't know, because I think maybe,
which is really bad about me. I should really be interested in that, given I'm a sociology major.
Well, but I think you can't assume that why somebody has a reason for doing something until you actually have that conversation, because maybe it is something different. Maybe they feel the Confederate flag means something different. Maybe that's not what it actually means, but maybe it means something to somebody else.
I like that you are schooling me today. I'm really enjoying this. I really have to say. I'm rather enjoying our little dialogue today. I was like, I feel like I'm getting owned by you today, and this is kind of like, this is awesome. Kind of enjoying it.
I'm glad that that's how you feel about it.
So in terms of ranking,
I don't know. I like this movie.
So I want to review the ranking that we have. So don't look at my notes.
Well,
you dare look at my notes. I got right underneath the ranking. I got my next pick. So I don't.
I
Yeah,
didn't see
yeah.
it.
So you got to stay away from. I have these are mine. These are
Okay.
my notes over here. All right. So poker face over here. So what we have so far: number 1, Back to the Future trilogy. Number 2, El Camino. Number 3, E.T. Number 4, Nightcrawler. Number 5, Lights Out. Kim, where would you place Free State of Jones in this ranking?
I would do it above E.T.
You do it above E.T. You would put it at number 3.
Listen. I saw E.T. when I was little, right?
Uh-huh.
Second time I watched it was recently. So E.T. for me,
Huh.
Did I ever have to watch E.T. again? Nope. Was it an okay movie? Sure.
So I was pretty close with you. I would put it below E.T. Above Lights Out, above Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Even though I did not necessarily fully comprehend the movie, I think that the depictions of Southern America at the time, I think, were fantastic. I think, again, Matthew McConaughey was great. I think it pulled no punches. The repercussions that it explored, I think, had to be explored. I think that was great.
End-to-end, just the end-to-end, I don't want to say process, it's not, I'm still in my work mode, end-to-end process, but the end, not even end-to-end because it's still happening, but the start of the issue, right? The rise of the issue to present day. Like, the time frame that this film captures is amazing to me. And had it been made, it would have been interesting to see, had it been made in 2 years, right? Would they have gone a step further and covered
talk about
today? They had a unique way of doing it in the lineage. Interesting.
Yeah, I just wish it was presented more cohesively. Is the only thing that I have going against it.
We can find faults in every movie we've watched.
So, you're saying above E.T., I'm saying below E.T. Well, you want to flip a coin? This is the first time that we have disagreed this season of the Video Club, which, again, we started back when it was a patron exclusive.
Why do you like E.T. so much?
I think E.T. is an altogether just better movie than this. I think it told
a
story from beginning to end. I think it told a story.
There's no end to the story yet. There's no end to the story.
To what story?
To Free State of Jones.
He died. He's been dead for a while. I mean, yes, racism's not going to go away anytime soon. And if you want to make a movie about racism, that's not what this movie is about. It's about this area of Mississippi and this guy and his effects and what he has done and repercussions of racism. I mean, yeah, there's no end to that. But Jones, I don't know his first name, his Tennessee Jones, whatever his name was, he's dead. He's long been buried. He had his children. One of them was in trial. His great-grandchild was in trial, which was crap. All right, fine. You know what? Now, the new ranking at number 3 is Free State of Jones. I'm writing it in right now.
Nice.
So our new ranking. No, I'm going to start. Now, I went from 1 to 6 last time. I'm going to go to 6 to 1 this time. Number 6, Lights Out. Number 5, Nightcrawler. Number 4, E.T. Number 3, Free State of Jones. Number 2, El Camino. Number 1, Back to the Future trilogy. I'm okay with that list. I think that's a pretty solid list. We are halfway through our season of the Video Club. My pick for this month, this is always my favorite part. Oh, just let me get a nice stretch in there after talking about this Free State of Jones. Oh, depressing movie for a depressing year. I don't know if this movie would necessarily be a lot better, but I know that it out of it has spawned a fantastic meme about Chris Evans' sweater. That's pretty much all I know about this movie. My pick for next month, the final pick of 2020, is Knives Out. Available now on Amazon
Knives Out
Prime.
With Chris Evans?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis as well.
I like those
isn't it? It's it's a movie that I've had on my list, and we will talk more about that next time. And that's pretty much the gist of our show, except for a fun little round of
Yeah.
have I ever? No, not never have I
No,
ever.
no,
Would
no.
you rather?
This is
Why?
patron
I
exclusive.
know I'm getting
Oh,
there.
okay.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Believe me, I know when to wrap my show up. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like it, share it, subscribe it. Leave your comments below on any of the topics that we've talked about. Leave us ideas for topics to be discussed in the future. I think I already know the topic that I really want to talk about next time, even though it's not my pick, but I'm just going to stick it in there as like the patron exclusive topic because I can do that. That's kind of just what I can do. It's the power. It's the power. But if you enjoyed this episode, please like the episode. Please subscribe to the channel. Please head on over to drunkonwriting.com and watch the extended version where I'm about to play a game of Would You Rather. Is that what it is?
Yep.
I don't know why I can't keep up with that,
I don't
but
know.
we'll see how I do with that. So thank you again for watching. Thank you again for participating in any way, shape, or form. And until next time, cheers and keep on writing.